What's going on, everybody? This is Dave from This is Pop Punk Promotions. I'm here with Ryan from Tokyo Rose from New Jersey. How's it going, Ryan?
What's going on, Dave? How are you?
Doing great. Really appreciate you coming on. Let's dive right into it. So, when and how did you guys form?
So Tokyo Rose technically formed, I think, in the year 1999. Some buddies got together, a fellow by the name Mike Glitta, who he played drums in Tokyo Rose, and he went on to start Senses Fail as the bass player. He played in Tokyo Rose with a fellow named Matt Riley, who went on later to form the Finals. And then another couple guys that were kind of in and out, like they had a bass player named Sean, and then another Filipino American, such like myself, a dude named Lester, who they formed this Tokyo Rose. Um, they were all a couple years younger than me in high school, and they started playing some shows, doing a bunch of songs that Matt had written and Lester had written. And at that time, I was in a ska band, in a punk ska band called Day 19, uh, out of the same high school, Bloomfield High School, as Matt. And so we were playing shows. Long story short, Day 19 kind of took a hiatus because the horn players all went away to college. You know, the whole Milo goes to college story. And so they took a hiatus. So instead of forming all, I ended up joining Tokyo Rose because I had written some pop punk songs, in my basement, and then in my dorm room when I was at Rutgers. Mike and I reconnected at Rutgers, and then Chris, our bass player, who was playing in a ska band called Professor Plum in Jersey. He Professor Plum was kind of waning as well, so he kind of hopped aboard. And Chris is one of the most talented bass players I've ever met. And so he and I and Mike kind of started playing some shows with Matt as well. And then, we started kind of playing more shows and started, really kind of writing. So Matt, at that point, I think he had graduated high school and he wanted to go to culinary school. So he went to culinary school and like really didn't have time for the band. So Tokyo Rose kind of continued on from that point with myself, Chris, and Mike. And then our friend Robbie came and played guitar. Then our friend John Smith came and played drums, and he played on Tokyo Rose's first album because Mike couldn't tour because he also wasn't finished in college, so he had to stay back. And Tokyo Rose kind of like it felt like we just had to keep snowballing, keep the chains moving, and so that was kind of the first kind of semi-professional, if you could call it that, iteration of Tokyo Rose at that point.
That's awesome. A lot of people coming and going, but eventually you got the right lineup and then you're ready to rock and roll.
Exactly.
Very cool. So, you guys actually just dropped a brand new song, Something Sweeter. How's the response been to it?
It's been really cool. Like we've got a lot of people who, had stayed Tokyo Rose fans. We didn't play a show from like the end of 2008, or I want to say early 2009. And then we hadn't played a show until 2024. So we had some songs that we had written that we kind of like threw in the vault, in case this indefinite hiatus, which we never planned to come back from. Um, in case it ended, and we started jamming again in preparations for this reunion show. And a lot of old friends came out to those shows, and then kind of because it had been such a long gap, like those old friends like brought their kids or like their nieces and nephews and stuff, and friends who weren't around when we were playing. So like come see us the first time. And so when this new song came out, we had a lot of old friends comment, and then a lot of people were like, "Oh man, like you were my favorite band back in high school, like or you're like my high school emo memory." And they're like, "It sounds like you guys picked up right where you left off." It's like old Tokyo Rails, but somehow made new.
That's awesome. That must have made you guys feel really, really good
Yeah, and old,
and old. Hey, you're young at heart. That's all that matters.
no doubt.
Very cool. So, who did you record it with, and how's the process?
Yeah. So we have been friends with Fred Mascherino from Taking Back Sunday, from Breaking Pangea, from He plays in Say Anything now as well, and he did a project called Terrible Things with Andy Jackson from Hot Rod Circuit, but also he is the color Fred. Um, he's been a good friend for a long time. He sang on one of the songs from our second album, New American Saint, and then he brought us on tour when he was in Take Back Sunday. Actually, this year, 20 years ago, we went on tour with Taking Back Sunday because their album Louder Now came out, and we were on the tour to help promote that album. And he's just been a good friend. He's an amazing musician, like one of my guitar heroes. Like Fred is. So his guitar heroes are like Eddie Van Halen, Steve Vai, like these crazy guitar players, and he quickly became one of my guitar heroes. I want to say in 2003 or 2004, we played with Breaking Pangea in Eastern Pennsylvania, and Fred busts out his acoustic guitar, and we're all like in the dashboard, like we all love Dashboard Confessional, and Fred busts out his guitar, and he doesn't play an original song on acoustic, but he covers Human Nature by Michael Jackson. And he did it in this incredible way. Like he's playing all the parts on guitar and singing it. And he just from that point on, I was like, I need to learn everything I can from this dude. And so he's been our producer on this, and our friend Steve Angelo, who's a real good friend of Fred's as well, and is a amazing musician in his own right. Those two have been kind of tag teaming all the things that come out of Diver Down Studios in Westchester, Pennsylvania. A lot of the stuff that's on the Heading East record label that Fred started. And it was a no-brainer for us to go with Fred because we just love everything he's done and really respect him and Steve and what they bring to the table.
That's really sick. Did they give any solid advice that you were able to take and then just like move forward with it?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, Fred is an amazing guitar player. So is Steve, and Steve is a great, kind of vocal craftsman as well. So they kind of, took their knowledge and Fred's amazing equipment that he's amassed over the years, and kind of we were looking because we are such fans of Taking Back Sunday and the Louder Now record and Where You Want to Be records. We were like, okay, like how can we get Fred's guitars? And combine that with what Tokyo Rose has done in the past. Because guitars, even though I'm not so good at guitar, like guitar has been, a driving force in our music. So Fred and Steve really combined to say, like, hey, we can pull these references, we can pull these tones out of the stuff that we have, and then form them around, the songs that we had kind of like skeletons of. And yeah, they kind of helped us kind of craft what we're working on now. We're finishing up a 5-song EP for Man and Cat Records. It's going to be titled Phoenician Fire, and it's going to come out sometime this year. So yeah, we're about to wrap up recording and tracking on that, and all with Fred and Steve. So yeah, they've been really instrumental in just getting the best performances out of us. Reminding us that like Tokyo Rose was something that people really enjoyed, and people still listen to today. So they didn't want us to deviate too far from that. And honestly, as one of the principal songwriters, it's like I can only write, from my experience and, as fast as my fingers can play. So we've pretty much stuck to the same kind of script with Tokyo Rose music.
That's really really sick. So you're from my home state of New Jersey.
Yeah, man.
How is the emo pop punk scene there? Do you have a favorite local band, a favorite venue?
Yeah, hey, I mean, we are really just kind of getting our feet wet again with the scene. Chris has been playing in bands ever since Tokyo Rose. He went out to tour manage some friends' bands and then play in other. He played in the Color Fred with Fred and Steve, and then Matt, our lead guitar player, also played in the Color Fred. So they've kind of been around, and then Chris started playing with this band called Sleep Cycles out in Eastern PA, kind of Philly area, and they're amazing. And they've got there's this amazing scene in Philly. I think there's still kind of this underground scene in New Brunswick. People still kind of coming up. There's not as many places to play. And then there's a scene. I live in Jersey City now, and there's always a scene of underground music in Jersey City happening. But we've been playing some shows here and there in Jersey, and we've played with a band called North Vale from North Jersey. They've been really cool to see, kind of hone their sound and craft, what they want to make from their, their members and their songwriting. And then we played with Vanity Score and Tug of War Machine from Asbury. And, we've always loved Asbury. We played the Pony maybe once or twice, and then maybe the Lanes once or twice. But we weren't around for like House of Independence. We played. I think we played the Saint too. And it's been cool to see like those bands are still going and keeping it going. We're friends with Not Your Baby from Asbury Park. You know, not quite pop punk, more kind of like in the like new wavy pop synth. But still super catchy. But so yeah, there's a lot. The future is bright, man. With all the pop punk and the emo still coming out of Jersey.
Very cool. So who would you say your biggest influences are?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much anything that Fred is on. We love Fred. We love Taking Back Sunday, like Heroes growing up, and we were like a little bit younger than them, and them being from Long Island, it was like, oh, like like there's another scene in Long Island, and then just seeing them kind of come up. I mentioned before, like a huge Dashboard fan, and then we love Jimmy World, the Get Up Kids. And then going back before, I'm thinking like in high school, like I was a huge MXPX nerd. We loved like the Fat Record stuff that came out, and I'm a huge Descendants and All nerd as well. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of influences. But then, like growing up in New Jersey, like we have the Boss, we have I'm a I'm a huge Bon Jovi fan too. I was reminiscing like I can't remember when MetLife Stadium opened, but it was called like New Giant Stadium or the New Meadowlands, and Bon Jovi played, and it was like I have to be there. So Bon Jovi, we love you too. We love the Police, and all those kind of influences. Because we came from ska roots as well. Like all those influences play into the music that we still write now.
That's very New Jersey of you. I love it.
Yes.
So here's $1 million question for you. If you could play a show with one of those bands or tour with one of those bands, who would it be?
Oof. Yeah. It would be amazing to play with Taking Back again. Just see those guys. They're like at the height, and bringing Fred back in and John, and Sean, and then Adam doing his thing. I mean, it would be amazing to tour with you too. Like it would, just to see how they still do it after all these years. I tried to get tickets to when they had that residency in the Sphere in Las Vegas, because my folks live in Las Vegas, but they were through the roof. Um, and Jimmy would be amazing. I heard that. Did I hear a rumor that Jimmy might be back on Warped Tour like for this year? I mean, that would be super rad. Too, I've seen them a million times. But it would still be cool to like to share the same stage and the same green rooms and just like pick their brains. Like how do they still do it after all this time?
Any of those bands would be absolutely epic.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to ask you some non-music questions to go away for me to get to know you as a person. I did this with the other bands. You're ready to roll?
Yeah.
All right, first one. If you could be any animal, which one and why?
That's a great question. I mean, I'd love to be an animal that is self-sufficient. I think we were big Bang Theory fans, watching the tapes and the DVDs on in the van. What is the Sheldon Cooper says like a lichen, right? Because that's like it like can reproduce asexually and it like feeds itself. Um, but yeah, I think I'd love to be something that flies. Maybe, you know, a bald eagle or something majestic.
That'd be pretty sick.
Yeah.
If you were stranded on a desert island, what three items would you want to have with you?
Okay. I've definitely thought about this one. I'm a big Survivor Man, Man versus Wild fan. So I'd take an acoustic guitar, right? Because I could use the strings to make fishing line. I could, entertain myself for a while until I broke the strings. The wood could become fuel for fire. Um, yeah, I think so an acoustic guitar, um, probably some sort of like water filtration or desalination tool, and then yeah, something to like write or record my thoughts, and the experience, pen and paper, a few glass bottles to just chuck into the sea.
You got to bring a guitar and rock out so you don't go absolutely nuts mentally.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's awesome. So if you had $1 million and you could donate to any charity, which one?
Wow. That's great. I mean, this is, taking me back. I think the first like emo show I saw at Rutgers, like it was my first exposure to emo. I cut class to follow these two girls from one of my classes that were running the Food Not Bombs table at the Midtown House when Penfold was playing. So Food Not Bombs, just like trying to help people get food on the table rather than, fueling militarization. I think that's one of those, and then obviously like Central Kitchen, anything to get food and healthcare to people who need it. Um, yeah, probably one of those.
Can't go wrong with any of those.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right, last question. What are some places in Jersey that visitors should check out?
Ooh, that's great. You know, um, I love who was I talking to the other day? I saw that on YouTube there were a couple bands that had done some like punk songs about hot dog trucks. So I'm from Bloomfield, originally Essex County, right next to Ranchbrook Park in Newark. So I used to go to JJ's all the time and get the belly busters from JJ's. People talk about Rough Tut, people talk about Johnny's, Hot Dog Johnny's in Buttsville. I'm a JJ's kind of guy, with a chocolate cow on the side. Um, so yeah, gotta go to JJ's. Is Lee's Hawaiian still around? It's like a tiki bar kind of place, but then it would like turn into like a banquet space. You could get like Dragon Bowls, and then you could sing karaoke if you were there on like a Saturday night. So Lee's Hawaiian, if it's still around. Um, man, and then any North Jersey diner. I love TikTok. After going to shows in the city or any shows in North Jersey, like go to like Wayne Firehouse or go to Skaters World or something, you come back and hit the TikTok. So those are like places of my youth, a misspent youth.
I feel like I just got in a time machine and I went back 20 years.
Yeah, man, exactly.
Love it. Well, Ryan, I really appreciate you coming on and the support means the world to me.
Yeah, man, dude, thank you so much. It means so much that, dudes like you who like, reference the scene, who like are historians of the scene, and just the scene in general. I was talking to my wife about this because she grew up in England and they didn't really have a music scene in the town she grew up in. But it's like people write zines, people come to the shows, they do the interviews, they take pictures, they bring you baked goods, and their parents let you sleep on their floor. And that's like the scene. You have bands come from out of town, you connect them with those people, or you put on shows. I was reminiscing with Ricky Saporta, like Bomb Shelter Records, like just the connections, with Ricky and Gabe and Nina, who was in Avery. It's like everybody kind of like helps each other out. You extend the hand to help the next guy up. So the Jersey scene is historic for that. So thank you for keeping it all alive.
Definitely makes me really proud to be from that scene.
Yeah, man.
So, for the people that are going to watch this interview later, where can they find your music at?
Yeah, so we're on all the streaming platforms. ManicCatRecords.com. It's Manic, Manic, Cat, Kat, and Records, Records.com. That's where you're gonna find our new stuff and also the digital re-release of New American Saint with those two bonus tracks. You can purchase it there on vinyl as well. And then we're, Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, wherever you find streaming. And yeah, come to a show. We still have we have some records. Um, we have some old CDs that I found in my parents' basement not so long ago. And yeah, come see us. We're playing. Our next show is March 21st at White Eagle Hall here in Jersey City. We're going to be supporting the Emo Night Karaoke, which is a super cool outfitted dudes, from all over playing the tunes that we all loved growing up, and some new bands as well. They just released their own cover of Olivia Rodrigo's Driver's License, I believe. So, it's really cool, creative dudes, just having a good time playing music we all love to sing along to and actually get to do it on stage with them.
Well, do what the man says. Go to the websites, buy a CD, buy a vinyl, buy a shirt, support local music, and go to the show. Ryan, you guys are absolutely crushing it. Keep up the sick work.
Thank you so much, Dave.
I
Take
hope you
care.
have a great night. We'll chat soon.
Yeah, man. Thanks so much.
Peace.
Peace.